Part 3 of Let's Talk Baseball with Eddie Watt, two-time World Series champion. Now, bubblegum cards.
Yep.
Did you collect baseball cards?
Yes, I did.
When you were a kid, and did you collect when you were playing?
Not when I was playing. When I was a kid, we lived, I was born in the country. And of course we didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have air conditioning, we didn't have, we didn't have any money either. And we didn't have any money. We left southern Iowa into West Branch, where Herbert Hoover was born. I lived there for 2 years, and we still didn't have any money. And then we moved into Iowa City, and then my old man, like I said, was a truck driver, and somehow he got to know the people that delivered the Des Moines Register from Des Moines to Iowa City. So then he had 3 jobs that he was working all the time. And the one of them was he would get up at 3:30, meet this truck from Des Moines, then he would take the bundles of newspapers, they would come in bundles of 50, and wrap them up, or take them apart, wrap them up, and pass them out to the paper boys like myself, and drive around to all these corners, and he'd throw out like 4 or 5 bundles here. Well, first thing after he got that job is I got a job being a paper boy, whether I wanted to or not. And I ended up, for a kid that never had a nickel, I ended up making like $4 or $5 a week on this paper route. I had the biggest paper route in Iowa City. And I would take all my money and buy bubblegum cards. And I would buy baseball, football. We had some NASCAR, which I didn't have any idea what a NASCAR was. A couple of golf players, basketball. And I did that from the 6th grade when I moved into Iowa City until I graduated high school. And my brother was 3 years older. He left home after high school, went in the Army, and then came back. And of course, when he came back to visit the first time, he had that big old foot locker, the big green Army foot locker thing. Mm-hmm. And I think he must have won another one playing poker or something because he left that one there. Well, I had that full of baseball cards. I mean full. Baseball, football, and the whole works. And I went to college, and I came home after my freshman year, and I played around Iowa City, pitching in tournaments and playing on like 3 teams regularly. Then as a sophomore, I went to South Dakota. And the old man decided that it was time to get rid of all of them.
Oh.
And I don't know, what inspired him, he never went upstairs more than twice in his life, I think. And he went up once to yell at us for making noise, and the other time he went up was to take the foot locker full of cards and throw them away. And they all talk about Mickey Mantle's 52 card.
Yes.
Oh, I had 2 or 3 of that, and I had every card that, I'd had a fortune nowadays in cards that are somewhere in that Army foot locker in the bottom of a garbage dump somewhere in Iowa City.
That's unfortunate.
Well, I'm not the only one. I read in the magazine a whole bunch of stories the same as that.
Well, I thought we could have a little fun and have you open up a pack.
Sure.
Been a while, huh?
Sure.
All right. 1982 Topps Wax Pack is what we have today.
Reggie Jackson.
that who you got? Reggie Jackson, huh?
That's Reggie
Wow.
Jackson. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
Your glasses?
I can't. That looks like fingers. No, who is it? That is fingers.
Raleigh Fingers. Well, you got 2 Hall of Famers in a row. You're pretty lucky.
And this looks like. I'm covering up the names here. See if
See if you can guess who they are. All right.
Frank Viola, I think. Nope, Mickey Hatcher.
Mickey Hatcher.
Eh,
We'll get him out of the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
pile here. Sorry, Mickey.
looks like Davy Lopes.
Yeah. Davy Lopes,
And who is this?
longtime player.
Yeah, he lived right beside me in my first year when I went to Venezuela. He was playing for Caracas. I was playing for LaGuardia. Doug Flynn. I think he was a pitcher, if I remember right.
It says second base.
Second base. Okay, I
Doug Flynn, second
don't
base.
know him.
That showing up all right on camera?
Clark.
Bob Clark. Whoop. We got to get, sorry, Doug, we got to get you out of the Hall of Fame pile.
Billy Buckner.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Billy Buckner was a pretty good hitter.
Yeah, he was.
Pretty good hitter.
Dodgers, the Red Sox. Of course, he's famous for
Yeah.
missing the ground ball.
Yeah.
And Rick Waits, I remember him. I don't know who this is.
Alan Trammell.
Shortstop. Yeah, okay. He was after me, I think. I don't
A
know.
little sticker. There's a Hall of Fame player for Detroit.
Rosenmeier?
Rick Bossetti. Bossetti.
Bosetti, yeah. And Garvey.
Steve Garvey. Okay.
And
We have Milwaukee Brewers future stars Frank DePino, Marshall
DePino.
Edwards,
yeah, he's a pitcher.
and Chuck Porter.
Porter. And San Francisco Giants.
Bob Brenly, Chili Davis.
Oh, I know Brenly and Chili Davis. Those guys, they were in. Chili was in the Texas League when I was managing. I managed Amarillo for a couple of years, and Brenly was. He was played at Phoenix, I guess, when I was there.
And we also had Bob Tufts on that
I
card.
don't know him. And Stapleton.
Dave Stapleton.
And Doug Capilla. Yes.
And we got some gum.
No, thank you.
Should I try it?
Pull no.
You don't think I should try it?
Pull all my false teeth out.
Chuck.
Well,
So have you had that pack for a long time?
yeah.
Or really? That is
1982.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
wow.
My buddy and I have a deal. If we open up an old wax pack, we have to chew the gum.
Is that right?
So I'm fulfilling that agreement.
Yeah, you are faithful.
Bubble.
I might need one of them cookies in a minute.
I'd have,
That's got a strange taste to it.
I'd have to
Oh,
pass
dear.
on that.
Yeah.
So
You're the smart one out of the two of us, I'll tell you that.
are you swallowing it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Give me a minute, we'll get back to the question.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I think we'll save the rest of it for a different day.
Yeah.
I knew that was later because when I was managing the Texas League, I had managed against 2 or 3 of those guys. So
All right, here's another question from Hugo. Hugo lives down in Florida, and he's got a channel called Signs of the Pastime. Hugo read a quote by you where you said the highlight of your career was your Major League Baseball debut. What can you tell us about that day in Fenway Park, and what do you remember about it, and what was the situation, the first batter, the crowd, all those things?
okay. I'm 20. It's April. That's April the 8th.
I'm stealing a cookie to get rid of that gum taste.
I think it
We
was
have cookies today, folks.
I think it was April the 8th, 1966. Well, I'm 25 years old. I had never been to a major league game. I'd never seen a major league game except in spring training and on television. As I said, they took 3 extra players, the Orioles did. I did not know I was going to make the ball club until about 2 days before the club left, when we went to Baltimore, and then we went from there right up to Boston to open up the season. And we jumped off to a pretty good lead. I think Frank hit a home run the first inning, Brooks hit a home run the first inning. Barber pitched, got into trouble. They brought in Mo Grabowski, who was an experienced big league pitcher. He'd been a starter with the Cubs for 5 or 6 years. And they went with Mo for 3 or 4 innings. Stu Miller then came in for 3 or 4 innings. And now we're into the 12th inning. And Stu is pitching the bottom of the 12th. He comes up on top of the 13th, and he's done. So now I get up. They get me up. They're saving one of the other guys for a long man the next day, and a short man for the next day. And we ended up Jim Lomborg balks in the winning run. So now we're up 6-5, and I get called into the ball game. And of course I'm too scared to be nervous. And of course I always had the ability of not appearing nervous. And they had a golf cart at that time, came around the warning track which was like ground up lava rock and stuff. They drove around, picked me up, drove up to first base, got out, walked out to the mound. Bat boy come running out there, took my jacket, and I took my 8 warm-up pitches. And George Scott, you remember George Scott? Boomer. He was in Kansas City. He played third base and first base, and he ended up in Kansas City. Ended up Boston for a while. Went to Kansas City, and hit a lot of home runs. And I played against him in Double-A the year before, and ran the count to 3-2. And then I threw a sinker low and away, and he swung and missed it. Strikeout, 1 out. Next guy was Rico Petrocelli, who was playing shortstop, but now he'd moved to third because they had somebody else that was going to play short, and hit a lot of home runs. He loved that little short fence out there in left field in Fenway Park. I cranked up and I threw him a sinker and got it coming in at him, and he hit a bullet right at Brooks Robinson. And Brooks just went down on all fours and blocked it like a catcher. And are you familiar with what a cup is to an athlete?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Protective device.
Yes.
There you go.
Right. Brooks just went down and blocked it, and it hit his cup and went bong. And but I said, Brooks is very casual in everything he does. Well, of course, I chewed tobacco from the time I got into pro baseball. So this is in my 5th year, actually. I always had a big wad of chewing tobacco. And as soon as it hit his cup, I swallowed it. And Brooks just reached down, picked the ball up, and threw Petrocelli out, second out.
Yeah.
So I reached in my pocket, whoop, threw in another hunk of tobacco, and the next guy up was the first baseman. It wasn't Scott. It wasn't. I had his name a second ago, and he's the guy that had the mental problems. He got sent to Cleveland and had mental problems. A young kid too, and I've told this story 100 times, and I've remembered it 99 and a half of them. Anyhow, he came up, and I threw him a sinker, got it in on him, caught him on the hands, and he hit a little dribbler back to me, and I picked it up to the first base and got him out. And then I was just shaking when I walked in the dugout and went over and had a nice cold Pepsi. Of course, at that time I didn't drink, but that was it.
First career save in your first outing, then.
First career save, bottom of the 13th inning. First game I'd ever seen. First game I ever played.
In Fenway Park.
In Fenway Park.
Which is beautiful park.
Yeah, it was a pretty park. It was one of the only old ballparks that's still around. Wrigley Field and Fenway, and I can't think of another one. Oh, well, no, Detroit's got
And Detroit's gone.
most all of them got new stadiums now. Fenway's still there, and it's a pretty park.
Yeah. Well, Joe Franco from Staten Island, New York, has a question for you. How did you personally and the team view the 1969 Mets when you found out that you would be playing them in the World Series?
We were surprised. All the time, the Mets were never in our thinking. It was going to either be the Braves. The Braves had just moved into Atlanta. They were in Milwaukee, and then they went to Atlanta in '66 because I played in Atlanta in the International League in '65, and I played in Fulton Stadium, and then or the Cubs, and the Cubs were the odds-on choice. And when we found out we were going to play the Mets, we had no idea who even played for the Mets. We knew a couple of the guys, A.G., Al Wise, J.C. Martin, A.G., a couple of the guys that had been with the White Sox, because the White Sox and Mets made a big trade. But it was a complete surprise, and I don't know if they caught us flat-footed. We caught them at a very, very bad time for us. They made plays, they did things that they had no right to do. They played extremely well, unbelievable. And they had a bunch of young pitchers. Nolan Ryan was there, Seaver was there, Matlack was there, Gentry was there, a kid from just a little ways out of Iowa City.
Jerry Kuzman?
Kuzman was there. Gentry was the guy from out of Iowa City. They played extremely well. Cleon Jones was there. And, I mean, they had a decent ball club, but they went from horrible to horrible to horrible to all of a sudden world champions. I think their first year was about '62, and I don't think they ever got out of the basement until '69 when they got to the series.
Miracle Mets.
Yeah,
Miracle Mets of '69.
They deserved to beat us because they outplayed us.
Thank you for listening to part 3 of my interview with two-time World Series champion Eddie Watt of the Baltimore Orioles. The interview was 90 minutes, so I broke it up into 4 parts, with this being part 3. Again, thank you for listening, and I hope you'll come back for the final installment, part 4.